hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Happy Friday, everyone. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. Thanks for everyone for watching all over the place. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, great day out there on the ice. Did you watch that comeback by the Edmonton Oilers versus the Colorado Avalanche? Hopefully you live bet Edmonton when they were down. Looking at some of these teams, some get off to such hot starts and the books overreact so much. So let me know what you made money on yesterday. If you came back in on Montreal, like we were hoping yesterday with the Stars going up first, you made some great freaking money. And the Red Wings let us down in that first period. I expected them to win the first period. Florida Panthers got a goal as well, tied it up in the first. The Red Wings pulled away and got the win with Florida on that look-ahead position off a tough game. So it was a crazy night out there on the ice. Hopefully you guys made some money. Remember to go back to Taylor Hall. He did not score for the Chicago Blackhawks last night, and I still think riding him for the next couple games will hold some value. So happy Friday to each and every one of you. It's going to be a great weekend, right? We got a loaded slate out there on the ice tomorrow, a couple of games on a Sunday, and then we have a divisional games out there on the field. So it's going to be great. Tony, great to see you as well. So let's jump into today's two games. Now, I always talk about a Friday. Anything can happen out there on a Friday, especially when a team's on the first night of a back-to-back. And we look here at Vegas. They're back-to-back, though. Tomorrow is Chicago. So they'll play the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm not worried about them looking ahead to Chicago. If this was a game versus Chicago Blackhawks and Vegas tonight, and then the Canes on deck tomorrow, 100% a look-ahead situation. And I would be looking to play around with the Chicago Blackhawks, but that's not the situation. We have the Carolina Hurricanes here at home now. Both of these teams coming off of losses, and you know both will be hungry to get the win. We've seen Carolina. We know how strong they are at home. We know this team can lock down defensively as well. And I'm going to grab my pen. I'm going to hold my pen. If you guys don't know, I'm a hand talker, and as long as I'm holding my pen, you're not going to see my hands flying up on screen. Just forgot to pick it up before we kicked off. So let's try again. Let's settle down those hands. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. So current odds, all odds are over on FanDuel. The Carolina Hurricanes are a minus 162 favorite, plus 134 here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Total 5.5. 5.5 juice to the over at minus 122. And I do think that's the way this game goes. I do believe it goes over that total because I think there's every opportunity of this one going to overtime. I'm looking for 5 goal game until we get that extra one to push it over. So we're going to sweat out the over 5.5. I really do think it's going to be a big sweat here in this one because we know how strong the defenses can be. But these teams do trend to that over, and overtime coming in at plus 300, I think is a really solid way to go in this matchup. I'm looking at the couple of things here. Adin Hill expected here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now he has to stand freaking tall between the pipes. He can't do what he's done versus the Carolina Hurricanes in the past because it hasn't been pretty. He's gone 1-3 in his career with a 3.21 goals against average and an 883 save percentage. If we have any hopes of Vegas getting the win tonight, Adin Hill has to play better. But that being said, we're still going to go with the over in this one. Prochekov expected here for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, great numbers versus Vegas. A 923 save percentage, but still 2.5 goals against average for him. So I do think those goals are coming. He's been solid on the season, 2.54 goals per game, a 16-9-2. But, you know, I'm seeing those goals. We've seen the Carolina Hurricanes inconsistencies really coming out there on the road, but they have taken a couple of really harsh home losses as of late. They have the second best kill in the league. Their kill is outstanding at 85%. And the problem is with them, they're giving so many opportunities on that power play. They're going to go against a Vegas Golden Knights team that is fourth best power play in the whole league, converting 26.2% of the time. I'm looking for those conversions to come out of Vegas tonight. They've scored 3 or more goals in 7 of their last 10 games. So I'm expecting them to roll hot into Carolina. Now, we know Carolina lost on Wednesday to the Buffalo Sabres. That was a 4-2 road loss. They lost the game prior in overtime to the Anaheim Ducks at home. That was their jersey retirement of Eric Stahl. So you guys, the anti-ceremony play was in play. I got that from Scott Wetzel. So hats off to him. But as soon as these teams are hoisting banners, retiring jerseys, definitely something to look at. It is a fade. So when we look at the look ahead, Vegas versus the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow. The Carolina Hurricanes don't play till Monday versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Then they're at the Stars on Tuesday. There could be a look-ahead situation in that game for them versus Chicago with the Dallas Stars on deck. So something to look ahead to for the Carolina Hurricanes on Monday. This team sitting third in the Metro, 17, 5-1 at home. So really good numbers here at home. Vegas has been strong on the road, 11, 6, and 3, sitting first in the Pacific. I like what we've seen out of them. They did get that road loss in their last game out, 5-3 to the Nashville Predators. And in their last 4 games, it is a 1-3 record in those last 4. So they haven't been playing their best hockey. When we look at the last time these teams matched up, it was back in November. We saw the Carolina Hurricanes get that big win, covering the puck line, covering the alt puck line, winning that one 5-2. The best player in that game was Jordan Stahl. Now, we played him in that matchup versus the Anaheim Ducks. He didn't come into that game and get a goal like we were hoping. We were playing him because his brother's jersey was being retired. But I do think Jordan Stahl in that last game versus Vegas, he was able to get a goal. He was able to get an assist. He really stepped up. So I'd be looking at Jordan Stahl for his points tonight. I think he really comes to play. In that last game as well, we saw the Carolina Hurricanes put 34 shots on net, but kind of downfall here. So they did win the faceoffs. They won 60% of the faceoffs. But when we look at them on that power play, they went 0-4 on the power play versus the Vegas Golden Knights, and they did allow a shorty. So Vegas was able to get a shorty in that last matchup. I believe they went up 4-0 to start that game, and then Vegas tried to get their way back into it, but didn't. Barbashev, someone definitely to look at here. Vegas is a dog. Barbashev has been coming out nice and strong. He's been able to score a goal in 3 of the last 4 games for Vegas when they've been listed as a dog. He has 30 points on the season. And Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, we know what big playmakers these guys are. Don't overlook Thomas Hertl either, 31 points on the season, but Eichel, 54 points, Mark Stone, 34 points. So as Shea Theodore as well, 36 points out there. So where am I going with this one, you guys? It has to just be the over and the overtime bet. I'll take the over 5.5. I do think you could hold this one to 6.5 if you're looking for plus money. I think it's more likely to hit those 7 goals because I think this game really is a 2-3 game that we're sweating. We get that next goal and the dogs are barking at my house. So maybe the dogs are barking on the ice with the Vegas Golden Knights. That's where I want to put my money if I'm looking at a side in this one, because I do think looking at a side, the value coming in here on Vegas, it's going to depend on Adin Hill. Can Adin Hill limit the Carolina Hurricanes to 3 goals and Vegas put up 4? Absolutely. We could see that. So give me a shot on Vegas. The more I talk this one out, the more that I want to ride with Vegas here. Give me the over 3.5. Give me overtime at plus 300 with the over being the best bet, the overtime being the second, and Vegas being the third. I won't forget my Starbucks. Absolutely won't. I got my French press here right now. Starbucks will be later today. You're not getting any sound. Is everyone not getting any sound out there? Let me know if that is the case, because that's not good to hear. Let's go. Let's get this money. I would love to do subtitles. The subtitles will run after the show, so come back in and make sure you join us. Okay, let's get going here. Calgary made the playoffs a couple years ago. It was a couple years ago they made the playoffs. They got booted by the Dallas Stars. All good sound-wise. Okay, great. Let's jump into the next game here, you guys. We're going to look at, it's the next and the last game. Let me just pull up odds here on FanDuel. We got the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Buffalo Sabres. And I told you guys yesterday right away, both teams to score in the first period, the over 1.5. That is my straight go-to when I look at these teams and look at this matchup. Both of these teams look to come out firing in that first period. Both teams struggle to hold on to those leads. So this is a really good live betting situation. We've seen games where the Pittsburgh Penguins, what was it versus the Edmonton Oilers? They came out and got 4 goals in the first period. It's a team that can do that. They can come out, but then they can lose games like Colorado did last night versus Edmonton, where the other team fights back. Neither of these teams are going to say die, but both of these teams can get up fast in that first period on each other. So I do think both teams score in the first period, though we're getting plus money. But current odds, when we're looking at the side, we're looking at the total. Total 6.5 minus 134 to the under. Plus 108 to the over. I'm really shocked by the plus money to the over in this one. I'm expecting complete pond hockey, complete chaos between these two. I don't trust either defensively, and I don't trust either in net. Tristan Jarry of the Pittsburgh Penguins has been sent back down to the AHL. So that was their number 1 goaltender. Not a good sign for the Penguins. We've got Sidney Crosby, and I expect him to get at least 2 points on the board tonight. And on the other side, you got to look at Tage Thompson and how well he's been playing. But back to those odds, you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Buffalo Sabres at minus 126 on the money line, plus 105 here. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, do I want to lay juice on the on the Buffalo Sabres? No, I don't want to. Lankakin in goal. He hasn't been the goaltender that we've been expecting this season. He's got an .898 save percentage. I expected a lot more out of him. When we're looking at a Buffalo Sabres team, they're looking to avoid missing the postseason, because this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 14 seasons. So this will be their 14th straight season or 15th straight season without making the playoffs if they don't get there. So they're looking outside of a wild card spot right now. They really need to step up. Now, they are off a win. They got the win versus the Carolina Hurricanes. They were at home on Wednesday. It was a lower scoring game for the Canes. They won it. I believe it was a 4-2 win. Don't quote me on that. And then when we look here at the Pittsburgh Penguins, there are some embarrassing, and we're talking completely embarrassing losses. They've lost their last 3. They lost to the Kraken at home, you guys. They should not have lost to the Kraken in that matchup. That was on Tuesday, so we're sitting here Friday. They've had some time to think about that. That was 4-2. Now they are in the first night of a back-to-back here. They have the Washington Capitals on deck, but this team's sitting 6 in the Metro, 6-10-5 out there on the road. They cannot look ahead to the Capitals. They need every single freaking point they can get. So I would look for them to come out strong in this one. Now, the last time these teams matched up, 6-5, complete chaos, complete pond hockey, and I can't see it going any other way with how these defenses are playing. Both teams will be looking to come out nice and strong. Now, we have got a Buffalo Sabres team that's averaging right on 3.05 goals per game, allowing 3.34. So their defense really isn't doing well. We know the Pittsburgh Penguins have struggled in Buffalo. They've only won 1 of the last 5. So if the Penguins want to keep up here with Buffalo, they have to score those goals as well. They haven't covered the puck line in the last 6 in Buffalo. They've lost 4 of the last 5 in Buffalo. So if you want to look at the Buffalo Sabres, you like them here for the win, I would just look at the straight up puck line here. I'm not going to get there, though, you guys. I think you look at the over in this game. I think you can ult it. I ulted this over. So 6.5 is the number, plus 106 to the over. I'm going to ult it over 7.5 goals in this one, coming in at plus 250. When we look at these teams overall, they trend to the under, but when they're in Buffalo, they trend to that over. 3-1-1 in the last 5 meetings in Buffalo to the over. Both teams to score in the first period is coming in at plus 162. That's light, you guys. The books are limiting their risk on that. The over 1.5 goals in the first period at minus 130. Now, that's probably the strongest way to go, is the over 1.5 goals, because like I said, we could see one of these teams get hot in that first period and then the other team catch up. This will be a live betting situation if one team goes up, 3-1 in that first period, coming back in on the opponent plus the 2.5, because we will see the shifts in lines like that, especially if it's the Buffalo Sabres going up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm going to look at Sidney Crosby for 2+ points tonight. He has 48 points in 46 games so far this season. I'm also going to look at Tage Thompson here. He leads the Buffalo Sabres in points, just 35 points. So, you guys, not as many points as we would like to see out of Tage Thompson, but 39 games, 35 points. Another way to look, Jason Zucker. So Jason Zucker did play for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I love looking at players versus their former teams. Jason Zucker for the anytime goal tonight, I think, is a strong way to go. So he has 33 points in 44 games. I do think he comes out nice and strong. So we're going to build a player prop parlay in this game. I like this game better than the other for those goals to come in tonight. So Chesnikov could score. Kind of a long shot goal scorer out there for sure, but I could see it happening. And now that you've said it, now you've thrown it out, I would bet it, because as soon as you start throwing out stuff, it always cashes when you don't. Yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow's slate as well. It's going to be a great one. Hot day tomorrow out there on the ice. Yeah, I think you're right, Jamie. I think both of these games are going to go over that total. If you want to look at, well, there's a couple different things you can bet. Daily specials over on FanDuel. I just want to see, I know a lot of my co-hosts on SportsGrid will bet the goals for the day. And I think it's a really great way to go. So alt daily total goals scored for today in the two games. So this is the total of both of those games. If you like 12 plus goals, that's coming in at minus 158. So that's where you're having to lay the juice. When you start to get plus money is 13 plus goals. If I'm alting up the Sabres and the Penguins to over 7.5, that's got to be 8 goals. So then can we get 5 out of Vegas and Carolina? Yes, I counted on my fingers there, you guys, to make sure I was giving you the right number. I did not want to look dumb saying the wrong thing. So yeah, we could definitely get, I think we go over the 5.5. So 14 plus goals, I think, isn't out of the question tonight. It's going to come tight to that number again. 14 plus goals for the alt total for all of these games today is coming in at plus 172. Any player to score 3 plus goals in tonight's matchups, that is interesting. That's coming in at plus 700. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Sidney Crosby out there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm looking for that big step up. You know he's got to be hearing everything about Ovi and what Ovi's been doing out there on the ice. And that rivalry, even though they are not playing against each other, you know Sid wants to step up in tonight's game. So, yeah, let's build or let's quickly do the recap for everyone. And then from there, we will build a long shot player point, player goal parlay for the Sabres and the Penguins. So looking at the recap, the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, both of these teams coming off of losses. And I do think we will see them hungry and motivated to get the win. I think this game has every opportunity of going to overtime. No look-ahead situation for either of these teams, even though Vegas is on a back-to-back with the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow. I don't think that they will put that game in their mind going against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, a Canes team that looking to bounce back from a couple losses. So give me overtime in this game. That's coming in at plus 300. Give me the over 5.5 at minus 122. I think this is a game that we sweat out, that game going over that total, about 3-2 style game with that extra goal tying it up, pushing us to overtime. Barashev for the goal tonight, I like here for the Vegas Golden Knights, and Jordan Staal I'm going to go back to for the Carolina Hurricanes. When we look here at the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Buffalo Sabres, the Penguins off 3 embarrassing losses and the Buffalo Sabres off a nice win versus the Carolina Hurricanes. One thing holds true with both of these teams. I cannot trust either of their defenses. Their defenses completely crumble. Offensively, like I told you yesterday, these teams get up right away in that first period. I expect both of these teams to find the back of the net, lighting that lamp in the first period. Both teams to score in the first period, coming in at plus 162. You could also look at the over 1.5. That's coming in at minus 130 if you're willing to lay the juice. I will look at Sidney Crosby for his points tonight and his anytime goal, 48 points in 46 games. Tage Thompson, I do think, steps up here for the Buffalo Sabres like he has been doing all season. And Jason Zucker here for the Sabres against his former team. The over 6.5 is in play. That's coming in at plus 106. And I like the alt over 7.5 goals at plus 250. I wouldn't be shocked to see 4 goals again in that first period, you guys. So let's build a long shot player point parlay in this game here. I just have to remove a couple of things I had still on my bet slip. Point parlay here. So I think Sidney Crosby and Tage Thompson both get a point. If you just want to parlay Sidney Crosby and Tage Thompson for the point, that's coming in parlayed together on FanDuel at plus 131. Yeah, not as much value as we would like for a same game parlay, but there is value there in that. Now, I do think also we can look further down the list. Like I said, Jason Zucker, I do think, finds the back of the net on his former team. So if you want to put Jason Zucker and Sidney Crosby in, that's coming in at plus 158. I like those two to be able to register a point for their respective teams. When I look here, if I'm just looking at Penguins players, I'm going to look at Sidney Crosby and I'm going to look at Erik Karlsson. I do think Erik Karlsson can come out nice and strong. If you parlay Sidney Crosby and Erik Karlsson for the point, that's coming in at plus 169. When I look here at the Buffalo Sabres, you can take Tage Thompson and Jason Zucker for the point. That's coming in at plus 133. Now, I do think you can look at that, and then you can just look at, if you want to do Erik Karlsson, Jason Zucker, Tage Thompson, and Sidney Crosby, the 4 players that we were playing around with, that's coming in at plus 604. So let me know which leg of that you think will crush this player point parlay, you guys. I do like that. And then I do like to look at Sidney Crosby for 2+ points. Sidney Crosby for 2+ points tonight coming in at plus 230. Tage Thompson for 2+ points at plus 310. And if you think it's Jason Zucker with 2+ points for the Buffalo Sabres versus his former team, that's coming in at plus 420. I'll hit Jason Zucker for 2+ points and Sidney Crosby for 2+ points. Would I parlay it together? Well, if they both get 2 points on the night, that's coming in at plus 1392. Maybe a small sprinkle now that I've said it, but Sidney Crosby independently for 2+ points at plus 230, and then Jason Zucker for 2+ points at plus 420. Now, I do think those goals are coming, and that's where I'm looking in this one. So Tage Thompson is plus 160 for an anytime goal. Sidney Crosby at plus 190 for the anytime goal. Jason Zucker at plus 220 for the anytime goal. And then, that's probably all I'm going to do. You could look at Erik Karlsson for the anytime goal. It's plus 700, more likely to get that assist out there on the board. Raquel's coming in here for the Penguins at plus 210, but I don't want to go that deep. Now, Rasmus Dahlin needs to step up here for the Buffalo Sabres. I do think he would be taking those shots from the blue line tonight with the lack of defense out here for the Penguins, so he's coming in at plus 460. But you guys, that's everything I am liking today. It's going to be a great day out there on the ice. You're an LA Kings fan, so I love your Kings, and I love what they bring defensively to the table, but I am a Calgary Flames girl at heart, so I love my Flames, and I'm excited for their next game. So you guys, all the best in all your bets. Thank you so very much for joining me here today on Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X, and if you're watching on all the other platforms, thank you so much for joining me. If you guys can hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit that retweet button, I would greatly appreciate it. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. We'll see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern. Don't miss it. Loaded slate out there on the ice, diving into those lines as soon as we finish up here. Bye, you guys. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as save shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's